always get terminology wrong. We want to talk about style and everything we're doing into the photo building, which here, and then also retail stores.
So the photo building and retail store, we are continuing with our Knott's Berry Farm team. It is actually a streamlined team, very similar to the Johnny Rockets restaurants. So we're tying the two together. You're going to see a lot of really, we try to stay very true to the streamlined architectural style on the outside as well as the inside, and then also staying with the surfing theme as well. So kind of the concept and the idea behind the store is that a surfer that makes surfboards was able to make enough money making and selling the surfboards, and he's now bought an actual retail shop. And so that's kind of the backstory behind the store that you're going to see when it's completed. So lots of wood finishes and surf elements throughout the store.
So we'll go ahead and go this way. We're going to stop at the station, and then we're going to be walking by the ride. So we're just going to go up a little bit. So to your immediate right here is the station for the ride. The side closest to us is the unload side of the station. The other side where you see the glue lamps that are currently there, that is the load side of the station. It will be covered. If you're wondering why we only cover the one side, it's because we are in construction. This is a construction tour. And then our exit will go directly into the retail store, like Jeff said. So it'll have a path going right down off the back side directly into the store. As you walk by, feel free. We're not going to narrate anything. This way you can take any photos. It changed quite a bit since you guys were last here in August. And then when we get upstairs to Lakeside, we will talk about the ride. One item that Jeff just pointed out to me that I did not mention, that you won't see from Lakeside, is the mural on the back of Mine Ride. What we've done is tie into that beach theme. We have the sunset going there. That way, as soon as when the ride opens, you'll see there's going to be a fence line, and then you'll see the actual sunset behind. So you wanted to add
Sunset and ocean waves.
And ocean waves. Yeah. There we go. So we'll go ahead and proceed. Take any photos you want, and then I'll talk about the ride when we get upstairs. It is part of the project, but wasn't. As you know, Sky Cabin has been shut down for approximately a year. It is back open. Part of it, the hang time coming in, is we moved the entrance right here to your right, my left. And that is now our new entrance, utilizing the same queue. And then the ride, as we mentioned, is back in operation after working with the local agencies and also doing improvements to the ride. So that is where that is, and we're going to continue back around this way now. We'll go in as soon as the last stragglers for the group catch up, since they fell behind or late. We are going backstage into the construction zone. It is a construction zone, so chiefs, be careful as you're walking. I ask that you don't videotape as we walk, just because of the fact you may walk off into where we have an open trench or something like that. So when we get in there, you'll have plenty of opportunities to film and take photos. Just as we're walking in, just be careful of the area. That's all. We actually, instead of going right up to Lakeside, are going to take you into the maintenance bay. We actually have 2 trains in there. Feel free to come in. Mike's like showing off his construction. I'll introduce him again. You guys have met him before. This is Mike Martinez, our construction manager. Feel free to come into the maintenance bay. Don't grab, don't play with the train. Don't stick your hand up in the magnets. Hands off the Porsche, basically. And then the one in front, you'll actually see we have the test water dummies in there. And that's what we, as you notice, some people radio record themselves watching it late at night. They put it out there that we actually are testing. You'll see the water dummies that we have in place with the blankets. Feel free to take any photos you want inside here. So go ahead and come on in and check out the new vehicle. The further back one allows us to do our daily inspections, check any bogies, wheels, magnetic. So it actually, there's another set of wheels that it's sitting on. There's a track guide on the right and just a runner on the left, and then it'll transition directly into it. Both tracks have drive motors, so we don't have to do anything. And then the roll door is when we go to do a complete tear down the trains, we can take it out. So feel free to take any photos you'd like. seal in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a guide. Now it just sits. So it's locked in on that side of the boat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Late.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's it. Way over to this last window, you'll see a yellow surfboard out beyond. That is actually where the entrance will be for it. We will have an arch over the top. You really, you might be able to see that yellow surfboard there. To the right, as you're facing the entrance, will be our fast lane. To the left will be the queue. You can actually see, excuse me, that we started forming it up, the queue, the rebar's down. It'll actually go underneath those white pipes with the shade cloth will go. Yeah, grapes, water. The two low zones that you do see, we will have 8-foot fencing around that like we typically do on all of our coasters. Think of the entrance at the park where Silver Bullet is. The other recessed areas, like where these palm trees are, and then further out where the rock is, that is where we'll actually have retention for any rock, soil, so we put the water, rainwater back into there. Any questions you guys have, feel free to ask. Done?
When are you guys looking at launching?
Launching as in opening or summer, early summer, this summer. Unless you want us to wait till next year. Imagine that, everybody said no. Any other questions? So just to go over the stats on the right again, on the left of the main tower is the lift. It is a 90-degree lift. It is a chain lift. There is a dog that is actually on the chain versus the car, which is different than coasters. It'll engage on the third car and push the train all the way to the top. One difference of ours is it has magnetic fins on the actual lift. So if something were to happen, it actually can come down slowly with magnetics rather than being held there. It still does have the same evacuation platform as all the other Kurosawa Eurofighters and Infinity coasters that we can get up to the top. At the very top, at the 150-foot mark, is magnetic braking to slow it down. And then we'll be holding you with a true hold brake at the 60-degree angle there for approximately 2.5 to 3 seconds. So you will not see the track there. It will drop 96 degrees, coming back down the drop, coming into the zero gravity stall at the very top over here to the right, through the loop, back over, coming through this 2 inversions before it goes on the high bank curve on the far south end of the ride, where it'll come back into the Cobra roll here in the middle for your last 2 inversions for 5 total inversions, and then come down the magnetic brake run into the station. This train can run in the rain, so that'll be a nice feature. As you know, some of our other coasters shut down in the rain. This one will stay open because of the fact that it's almost all magnetic braking before we get to true hold brakes. We do have 3 trains. We have a white train, which was in the shed, a yellow train, and an orange train that was in the shed. So you see 2 trains as of right now. Capacity is 16 passengers per train, so 4 rows of 4 each. Something I didn't learn until about 2 weeks ago, what's interesting about this train is the first 2 rows are actually their Eurofighter design, where it actually it basically serves as 1 car, and then rows 3 and 4 is a trailer. So there actually is no pivot between the first 2 axles between rows 1 and 2. It serves as a single car with basically 2 trailers behind it, which is a little different. Any other questions?
Can you talk a little bit about the lighting package?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You will see the lighting package is going in right now. If you go right out here, there's LED lighting that's already been strapped onto the ride. We are currently in the middle of installing it. It'll be LED package that goes on the whole ride. There will also be uplighting, so you'll see conduit bundles coming up that'll be both queue lighting and also ride lighting. So the idea is the up lighting will wash all of the columns. The actual LED lighting on the track is going to chase. In the video, you could see the actual white light that was going through. What the intention is, to go with the theming of the surfing, is you're sitting out there on the waves waiting, and you just missed one surf, one wave. So that white light went through, and as it was coming up again, you're going to be riding the wave, is what it'll do. So it'll chase all the way through. Being that it is LED, we can change the programming anytime, like we do for Supreme Scream at the different seasons. Like we just went through Peanut Celebration, and it was yellow for Charlie Brown. Any other questions from anybody?
What's the ride time? Estimated?
I'm drawing a blank. What, 123 seconds? Yeah, 123 seconds. That's from station to station. So your lift time takes some of that time up. And then the max speed is 57 miles per hour. Any other? You guys are not normally this quiet. Tim, I know you have a question.
So 2 trains during peak season?
3.
3 running
3.
at once?
Yeah, so it is unique. Normally you don't have a brake zone or a zone on the lift. Because of the fact that we have a true hold at the very top, once that train disengages off the dog at the top and is in that hold brake, it will allow the next train to move up and engage on the chain. So the dog is there and ready, and so you basically have 2 blocks occupied at the same time back to back, because you know once it's past the peak, it can't go backwards. So it just won't engage it. So because of that, we'll be able to run 3 trains. If they didn't allow that where 2 blocks are occupied, and if you're not familiar with that, usually on all coasters you have 1 empty block between trains, so there is nobody running into each other. So looking at like Coast Rider, for example, directly across, the one we see on the right, there may be a train there, the next one would be empty, and the next one would be approaching those brakes. So you always have a gap in between trains. Any other questions? This is too quiet of a group.
You just explain it really well.
I think they're odd. Chris, I'm in marketing in the back.
Any challenges with this project?
The biggest challenges we've had on this project is actually this soil, believe it or not. One of the things I mentioned is we want to put the water back in the earth. It's actually a mandate throughout the whole state of California. If you do any improvements over 5,000 square feet, the water's supposed to go back in. Over at the Calico Mine Stage, which is just right around the corner, we were able to put underground filtration systems in. They went right into the sand and in. We're only 300 feet away, and we're in clay over here. So that was one of our biggest ones. You'll see these drains, there's actually some that are higher. Because of the fact it's clay, that water is not going to go into the earth. So it has to actually go into those and out directly out to the storm drain back to the ocean. That was one of the biggest challenges. The other part of it being that it was clay, we actually had to go in and remove all the dirt here down 10 feet and pack it all back in, mixing it with other dirt to get there so we could do it. We did come across, I think it was about 16 foundations from Corkscrew, which was 2 coasters ago that we pulled out. And then we had a tough one when you're an amusement park that's open 364 days out of the year, is keeping everything live, because the back building of Riptide was the main electrical vault for Charleston Circle, all the lights out here, the fiber optic that runs all of the games, the merchandise, the food, and keeping that up and running. So we had a whole bunch of redundant systems that we had to put in. So that was one of the challenges that we had out here. Great question though. Any other?
How long is the hold up at the top?
It'll be between 2.5 to 3 seconds. We're working on the timing right now on the whole lift. Power's actually been another challenge on that. When you're buying European motors, it doesn't translate over to our power grid system. So we actually are working right now on getting that. This ride is a 480 volt feed, and we actually had to drop it down. And your range is usually 10% plus or minus. We're actually like down to about 460 now. because the European motor is not used to that 480. So we're in that refining part right now. So if you are watching the live feed and you're going, what's taking them so long? Why are they running up and down and up and down? That's why. So that has been the biggest challenge. First night when we ran the train, when the webcams were off, very first train, it took us about an hour to get it up because we took it up. There's 20 proc switches on that lift. We had to stop at every single one, back it up, see if it cleared the zone, reset, and then once we dropped, it was smooth sailing. Ran it once and said, we're done for the night, because it went that smoothly. So, with no problems at all. And then, this is another anomaly with this ride, and it happens on Silver Bullet also. Usually, especially on Ghost Rider, the trains will slow down in the rain. It happens on Accelerator, it slows down in the rain. This ride and Silver Bullet speed up. So that is an interesting part of it too. Yep, you'll probably get over 57 miles per hour.
Sweet.
Just as long as you want 57 mile per hour rain in your face. It's fine. Probably coming out of your shower faucet faster than that. Any other questions from anybody?
Are the seats going to be big people friendly?
Yes. There are 2 seats in the middle of the train that are a little larger than the rest. There will also be to the left of the entrance to the surfboard. I mentioned the fact that we have the overhead sign. There will be a test seat on the left-hand side.
Like Silver Bullet?
Yes, like Silver Bullet and Accelerator as well. Let me just check one thing. Hey Rick, it's Jeff. Hey, I've got and this is the first train you did see inside that had the water dummies on. So thank you for filling that gap with questions, because we needed to move that train into position. This is why you test and adjust. There it goes. There's your stall at the top. Yes, it is. Magnetic braking.
Sounds amazing.
It is. It's really, and actually outside, it's just as quiet as what you see there. We will, so both of you guys can hear me, we're going to continue to test this ride now during the afternoon. We're going to take you down. We actually unwrapped the yellow train so you guys can take photos. Do not... is Peter is from Gerstlauer. He is here from overseas, and you guys can thank him because he's the one earlier in the week that said, "Yeah, I'll go home at 4 in the morning and I'll come back at 3:30 to run." So, thank you, Peter. And your
Thank
colleagues
you.
and everybody that's been working. I just wanted to give you guys a recognition. We did this for you guys. I didn't do it. I just had to make the phone call. He's the one that had to come back and do it all. So.
But I think we did all together, not just now, all the influence there is, because without anybody, it's not possible. We did it all. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Yeah, like Tim pointed out, no, there are not leg restraints on there. There is a second seat belt that's on there that's electrically controlled. Where normally it's, you can actually open that up. This is actually electronically, so once you